So today I want to do a follow-up video to the previous vid where I spoke about the gripes I had with the bike, stuff I didn't like. Today I want to go into specifics and talk about things that have actually gone wrong with the bike, issues I've actually faced. To be honest, there haven't been many. The most significant, the most major issue I had with the bike had to do with the fog seals leaking. What happened was 2 days into a 2-week road trip, I noticed that there was a black ring of oil starting to form here and a bit of iridescence on the rest of the stanchions. So that's not something you want to see on any kind of road trip. So what I did was to continue with the ride and to keep the stanchions as clean, as dry as possible, and to make sure there was no crud or mud or dirt that might have been stuck at the back of the stanchions, causing the seal to not do its job. I'd also done some research and found out that the front 41mm fork and the rear 43mm forks, they are standard MT09 and MT10 items respectively, so those seals would fit. So it shouldn't be too much of a headache getting those parts. I was able to nurse the bike for the next 2 weeks. I carried on riding as normal, making sure to keep the stanchions clean. The damage came when I got back and sent it into Yamaha for repair. They were able to do the job. They did a great job, but it also cost me about $650, about just a bit over $450 US. Not the kind of surprise I wanted. So yes, there are videos online talking about how the maintenance costs of a Niken are not that much different from a normal bike. That has not been my experience, and I would say that it depends on what's being done, right? If it's anything to do with the engine, with normal servicing, of course you're looking at MT09 prices. But anything to do with tires or forks, then the Niken is in its own different price category. What was also interesting was what the technician said as he handed the bike over back to me. He told me that if I was not going to be riding the bike for any extended period, to always leave it on its center stand. He didn't go into details, but he said that this was better for the seals. So I'm guessing that when the bike is parked on its side, that excessive weight of the front end maybe puts a lot of stress on the seals, especially the left seals, because that's where the weight of the bike is leaning on, and this is exactly where the leak started. So I'm guessing when the bike is on its side, there's a lot of weight or pressure coming in from the side of the seals, and maybe that's not the kind of force the fog seals are typically designed to cope with. So maybe if it's parked for a long time and that force remains constant, it might be enough to deform the seal a little, make it go slightly oval rather than stay round. So over time this may affect the sealing integrity of the seal. Again, this is just my hypothesis, but I've taken his advice, and so far so good, no leaks. There was another issue where I was unlucky enough to have used bad fuel, and that made the bike run really rough. It wouldn't idle below 3,000 RPM, and coming to a stop, it would die, and every time I'd start again, it would die immediately. I had to start it 3 or 4 or 5 times even, and to try and keep it at above 3000 RPM. So while this was happening, my phone was connected to the DC power socket. So I think those repeated starts and restarts might have caused a surge and caused the fuse to blow. I did attempt to replace the fuse, but I wasn't able to track down which specific fuse because I sort of assumed that this would be an accessory fuse, and based on the Yamaha fuse diagram, there was indeed an accessory fuse. But when I checked that fuse, it looked alright. I replaced it anyway, and the power outlet still wasn't working. So I just left it at that. I figured that once I get back, I'll try and find the cause of why it wasn't working. Eventually, I did find out why. It was because the fuse that regulates this power outlet is not called an accessory fuse. It's called a terminal fuse. And when I replaced that, all was good. So just something to note: if you got a blown power socket fuse, the correct fuse to go for is the terminal fuse and not the accessory fuse. Other than that, I changed the chain after 10,000 Ks because the original one had started to rust. I replaced it with an EK gold chain. Never had to adjust it once, so it's been golden. Yeah, and basically that's it. Major annoyance with the fork seals and a major expense. But other than that, the bike has been reliable. Oh yes, this bike doesn't seem to like lithium-ion batteries. I've used 2 on this bike, and I've encountered issues every time. The bike would stall as I'm coming to a stop. It will run really rough, but it'll be erratic, so it's not something you could pinpoint where the fault was coming from straight away. I've had good experience with lithium-ion batteries in the past, so it was a bit surprising to encounter these issues, and why I didn't suspect it was the battery. But after many rounds of troubleshooting, I've realized the only modifications or changes done to the bike electrical system wise was the battery. And true enough, when that battery was replaced, the problems disappeared. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope this video has been helpful. Bye.